Henry Cavill is in talks for an undisclosed role in an upcoming Star Wars movie.
Hell yeah.
And this follows an older rumor that he's being eyed for the new Star Wars trilogy that Simon Canberg, known for X-Men Dark Phoenix, was tapped to write and produce last year.
Hell yeah.
Honestly, if they're bringing Henry in, that's probably the smartest move Lucasfilm's made in years.
Right? Because let's face it, the sequels were a hot mess. The fandom's still recovering from the rise of Skywalker. So, starting fresh, it's about time.
George Lucas has finally spoken out, and what he had to say about Henry Cavill's rumored role in Star Wars has left fans in awe. The legendary creator of the Star Wars universe, one of the most iconic sci-fi worlds ever made, is reportedly thrilled about Cavill's potential casting, and for good reason. Henry Cavill isn't just another actor. He's a true fan of the genre, a passionate science fiction and fantasy enthusiast who grew up loving the very stories that shaped these worlds. More importantly, he's one of the rare actors in Hollywood who refuses to let studios ruin what made these franchises great. Cavill fought for The Witcher, walking away from the show when the writers disrespected the source material. He worked hard to bring Superman's heroic legacy back to the big screen, only to leave when Warner Brothers steered the character in a completely different direction. Cavill isn't afraid to turn down multi-billion-dollar projects if they don't align with his values. If Disney tries to do the same thing with Star Wars, it's likely he'll walk away again. So why is George Lucas excited? Because Cavill might be exactly what Star Wars needs. For years, Disney has prioritized agenda-driven storytelling over the adventure, heroism, and mythological depth that made Star Wars legendary. Cavill won't play that game. He's not in it just for a paycheck. He'll fight to bring Star Wars back to its roots. But the real question is, will Disney let him, or will they continue their trend of pushing out creators who genuinely care about the fans and replacing them with corporate yes-men?
If he got his own trilogy, he's some badass Jedi or something, I'm fine with that. I don't want to see Rey. Done with Rey.
Henry Cavill rumored for Star Wars. Now, obviously, take this with a big rumor, but this is not the first kind of time that we've seen hints of something like this in the past. Henry Cavill and some of these other guys have a relationship with this kind of stuff inside of Hollywood. We also know that Henry Cavill is a big Star Wars fan. At the end of the day, people have asked me in the past, why do I support Henry Cavill in just about everything he does? Because Henry Cavill is one of the few Hollywood people out there that is a nerd's nerd. The guy talks the way we talk. He loves a lot of the things we love. He comes out and defends us against a lot of the acolytes of the cult out there that try to ask gotcha questions. I mean, one of the famous ones out there is why, they ask you about what toxic fans. He's like, there's no such thing as toxic fans.
I understand what you're saying, but when it comes to fans, it is a fan's right to have whatever opinion they want to have. And people are going to be upset because, especially when you're talking about books or games, because you're never going to be the exact person who they had in their head or who they played on Witcher 3, for example. I don't necessarily consider that toxic. I just consider that passionate.
I think it's only right when we are talking about, I guess, the future of Star Wars content. We're talking about what's going to happen in the animated realm of Star Wars, because there's no animated shows on the horizon. We are talking about one character in particular today that we're going to give away their helmet, and their character's end is still up for debate, and possibly what the next animated Star Wars show could be following.
That Star Wars could ever be saved at this point is if the IP was sold to another studio. As I stated at the beginning of this video, I like Henry Cavill. I think he is one of the few genuine people left in this godforsaken town called Hollywood, which is exactly why I want to keep him as far away from Disney Lucasfilm as humanly possible. Let me put it this way, what actor in recent memory has had their career benefit from being involved in a Disney Star Wars project? The answer is not many. In fact, most people have to overcome their involvement with Disney Star Wars if they want to have some resemblance of a career afterwards.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Daisy Ridley didn't exactly light the world on fire after she played Rey Palpatine.
My glory is King Cavill. Why? So the rumor going around is that Henry Cavill is in talks with Lucasfilm for a Star Wars role. Now, a lot of you guys know me, and if you know me, you would expect me to be with this idea. But I am not. Star Wars is a mess in general. It's kind of dead right now, and they're going all in on this Daisy Ridley Rey thing. So I would love Henry Cavill to not be part of that whatsoever. And it's funny because Ryan Gosling was just in talks with him last week, and now apparently he's in talks to play Ghost Rider. So who knows what's going on at Disney. But Henry Cavill, you got your Warhammer thing going on. I really want to see that. Just do that. You know what I mean? Don't commit to Star Wars.
There's a major leak making the rounds that Henry Cavill is in talks to play a villain in an upcoming Star Wars project. But here's the twist. Cavill has never been one to play by Hollywood's rules. He's walked away from roles before when studios disrespected both the fans and the original story. We've seen it with The Witcher, where he left after the show's creators strayed too far from the source material. We saw it with Superman, when Warner Brothers pushed the character in a direction that didn't align with his vision. Now, with Star Wars, if Disney tries to push their usual agenda-driven storytelling, Cavill might just walk away again. But if Disney gives him the creative freedom to do things the right way, to truly bring Star Wars back to its roots, this could change everything. So, the big question is Disney finally learning from its past mistakes, or will they try to control Cavill like they've done with so many others, and push him out in favor of corporate yes-men? The ball's in their court, but Cavill's not one to compromise when it comes to honoring the legacy of these beloved franchises.
Okay, witches are humans who are fed a bunch of chemicals and magic to become mutated versions themselves. They're faster, stronger than regular humans. They're trained excessively, and they are used to kill monsters. And we find Geralt in season 2 after having denied the responsibility of having a child surprise, which is... oh goodness, this is a long explanation. One for a thing which they don't know they have yet, and it often turns out to be a child, inconveniently. And so Geralt ends up with one of these, and Geralt's my character, and he does not want to accept it, and then ultimately he ends up accepting it, and this is where we find him at the beginning of season 2. I can't believe I did that.
Chiefs, right?
I'm a Chiefs fan, yeah.
And how did that happen?
Okay, so I spend a lot of time over here, obviously, and I've been watching some American football. I started to like the sport, and I realized I had to choose a team. And the only way I could choose a team was with something that was never going to change. It wasn't going to be my buddy likes this team or whatever it may be. So I figured the one thing which won't ever change in my life is the Superman aspect of it. And I figured Superman's from Kansas. The Chiefs, people in Kansas support the Chiefs. It just all added.
So you just kind of said like, oh, if Superman was a football fan...
oh, he'd definitely be a Chiefs fan.
He'd be a Chiefs fan.
100%.
And you're probably right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's weird. I mean, it's no different, I guess, than how anybody picks a team, especially when they root for a team that's not in their city. But that's a strange way to run. And so you now have decided that this is the team you like.
Absolutely. Yes, and I like them a lot. I like them a lot. Chiefs Nation is a good fan.
You've been to the games there at Kansas City?
I've been to one game at Arrowhead.
At Arrowhead, yeah.
And that was an amazing experience. I don't know if you guys have ever been to a football game before or anything, but this is...
We all have, yes.
When I went down, this is my first time, right? So I went down pitch side. Is that what you guys call it as well? Pitch side?
Well, we on the field. You're on the sidelines.
Yeah, sidelines.
Yeah,
we went down on the sidelines, and it was the flamethrowers, big jets of flame going into the sky. In England, we just, the teams walk out, sing a song if it's international rugby, and then we kick the crap out of each other.
Right.
It's a display.
You have no flames over there? There's no explosions or bands or are there bands?
Henry Cavill has never been one to compromise when it comes to storytelling. Known for his deep respect for source material and his commitment to honoring the legacy of the characters he plays, it's no surprise that fans trust him. Cavill doesn't just take on roles, he lives them. But when studios push agendas over good storytelling, he's proven time and time again that he's not afraid to walk away. Take The Witcher as a prime example. Cavill was deeply passionate about playing Geralt, and he was committed to staying true to the books by author Andrzej Sapkowski. He repeatedly stated that he would continue with the series as long as it remained faithful to the source material. However, behind the scenes, it became clear that the writers didn't share that same passion. They mocked and dismissed the original lore, twisting the story into something unrecognizable. When Cavill voiced his concerns, they were ignored. And when it became evident that the showrunners were more interested in pushing modern identity politics than honoring the world Sapkowski had created, Cavill made his decision. He walked away. This decision was confirmed when The Witcher: Blood Origin dropped, quickly becoming one of Netflix's most hated projects. Critics and fans alike slammed it for its lack of originality, poor world building, and its overtly political messaging. Instead of focusing on compelling characters and rich storytelling, the show leaned into lines like, "It has the first kiss between two men," reducing storytelling to a mere checklist rather than diving into the depth of the universe fans had come to love. The result? The show bombed, receiving one of the worst ratings in Netflix history. And the message was clear. Cavill had been right to walk away. Then came Superman. Cavill was passionate about reviving the hopeful, heroic version of Superman, the one fans admired growing up. But instead of supporting his vision, Warner Brothers decided to push for a completely different take on the character, one that went against the very qualities that made Superman iconic. Cavill refused to be part of a watered-down, agenda-driven version of the Man of Steel. Once again, he stepped away. However, when it comes to Warhammer 40k, Cavill isn't just acting in the project. He's producing it, ensuring that the brutal, complex universe stays true to its roots. As a lifelong fan of the franchise, he's proving that when true fans take charge, the results are far better than when corporate executives try to force a political message into something beloved by fans. So, what does all of this mean for Star Wars? If Cavill is involved, he won't just take a paycheck and play a role. He'll fight for the integrity of the story. A lifelong sci-fi and fantasy geek who grew up loving franchises like Star Wars, Cavill knows exactly what made them great. He's not in it for the politics of Hollywood. He's in it for the fans, for the lore, and for the love of storytelling. That's why this Star Wars leak is so important. If Disney is truly serious about saving Star Wars, they'll let Cavill do what he does best. Respect the story and bring the universe back to its legendary roots. But if they try to control him, to force yet another hollow, politically driven narrative, we all know what will happen. Cavill will walk away. Just like he did with The Witcher, just like he did with Superman. He refuses to be part of the problem. If Disney doesn't get out of his way, they risk losing the one person who might actually be able to save Star Wars.
There's something I've been dying to say. Sorry, this is completely, every day on set, on this set, I was grinding my teeth because there was no one who would know the reference that I'm about to give you. And I mean, even if you don't get it, there's some cameras here and there are people at home who will get it. Okay. Do you know Warhammer at all? Warhammer 40,000, that kind of stuff? That world? Yeah, the greatest expert. Okay, so, that's fine, that's fine. There's people at home who are just going, oh yeah. They're leaning in now. Go for it. That chandelier looks like a Blackstone fortress.
Are you really a nerd? Because I know you don't look like a nerd. You look like the opposite of a nerd.
Right.
You look like the quarterback or even, the offensive lineman or something like that. You're a big, handsome, muscular guy. And yet, you have hobbies, the hobbies of a nerd. Would you...
I do.
I'm told are very involved with, and this is... What is this thing you're painting?
It's a helmet. A very small helmet.
And this is the full figure...
And that is a body attached
to the helmet. You painted this.
I did.
And then you play with it?
You paint many of them, and then you play with them with other people.
How many did you paint?
Like
more than one?
It's within the confines of the hobby, we call it our grey pile of shame.
You grey pile of shame?
Yeah, because they start off grey, and I have a very large grey pile of shame.
Are they metal or are they plastic?
They are plastic. They used to be metal, but now they're all plastic. I had a great physio in Florida and just was very careful. I didn't try to do anything silly, didn't try and work on it too early. I left it for as long as possible and just let it recover. I didn't have surgery or anything, so it wasn't terrible. But it did need just a lot of stillness. And when I had rested it for as long as possible within a brace, and then started the physio, and the physio was fantastic, and I ended up healing up rather nicely. They were
carrying your brother.
They were very surprised. They were very surprised that I healed up as quickly as I did.
And you did, and some of this rehab, I mean, you were filming 2 movies, and one of them was below 0 temperatures.
Yes, it's cold.
How did you manage that training?
The running, I mean, on treadmills is never quite as interesting as running outdoors, but that's what we did in Winnipeg. And since I've been in Paris, I've been running next to Seine, so it's been really enjoyable.
Great. And this year there's a new edition, the Superhero Stroll. And there's all these little ones dressed up as superheroes. So how does it feel, them looking up, you know, to you and, you know, more importantly, parents teaching their kids about conservation?
It's not about how it feels with kids looking up to me. Of course, it's an enormous honor, but it's the position of responsibility and the opportunity for me to be able to have an effect on kids and the things which they may want to learn about. And so if they can gain an education from this and have a fun day out as well.
This isn't just another casting rumor. This could be the moment that changes everything for Star Wars. Henry Cavill has spent his entire career fighting for good storytelling and staying true to the legacy of the characters he plays. If these rumors are true, he might be stepping into one of the most iconic franchises in cinematic history. But there's one big question. Will Disney let him do Star Wars the right way? Or will they push him out like they did with Superman and The Witcher? Industry scooper My Time to Shine Hello recently revealed that Cavill has been in discussions with Lucasfilm about playing a villain in an upcoming Star Wars project. While nothing has been officially confirmed, speculation is running wild. With Star Wars expanding into new films and Disney desperately needing to win back the trust of its audience, adding someone like Cavill could be a game changer. But for this to work, Disney must let Cavill be Cavill, someone who prioritizes deep storytelling and respects the fans. The timing of this leak couldn't be more interesting. Over the past few years, Disney's handling of Star Wars has been heavily criticized for focusing on identity politics rather than compelling stories. From the divisive sequel trilogy to underwhelming spin-offs, the franchise has struggled to recapture the magic that made it legendary. Cavill's involvement could signal a much-needed shift in direction, but only if Disney is willing to let go of its woke agenda and give control back to people who truly care about Star Wars. There are several projects where Cavill's rumored villain role could fit perfectly. Dave Filoni is working on a new Republic crossover film, which is expected to bring together elements from The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and the Book of Boba Fett. If Cavill were to step into this timeline, he could play a Sith Lord hiding in the shadows, a fallen Jedi, or even an Imperial warlord seeking to restore the Empire's power. Since Filoni is one of the few people at Lucasfilm who still understands what makes Star Wars work, this project could be the safest option for Cavill, one where he wouldn't have to compromise on his beliefs. Another possibility is James Mangold's upcoming Dawn of the Force movie, which will explore the very beginnings of the Jedi and Sith. If Cavill is cast in this film, he could play an ancient Sith Lord from the earliest days of the Star Wars universe, wielding raw, unrestrained power in a way we've never seen before. Given his experience playing strong, brooding characters like Geralt of Rivia and Superman, this would be a perfect match for his presence on screen. Then there's Simon Kinberg's rumored new Star Wars trilogy, which is said to have a darker, more serious tone. Kinberg, who worked on Star Wars Rebels and co-wrote X-Men: Dark Phoenix, has been involved in Star Wars projects before, and his trilogy is rumored to be separate from the Skywalker saga. This could be where Cavill truly gets to shine, leading a brand new era of Star Wars with a complex, powerful villain at the center. The most exciting part of all of this is that Cavill has always wanted to play a Star Wars villain. Back in 2016, he openly admitted, "I secretly want to be a bad guy in Star Wars." Now, nearly a decade later, that dream might finally be coming true. But here's where things get complicated. Cavill doesn't just take any role. He cares deeply about the legacy of the characters he plays. He walked away from The Witcher because Netflix refused to respect the source material. He stepped down from Superman because Warner Brothers wanted to change the character into something he didn't believe in. If Disney tries to do the same thing with Star Wars, if they attempt to push another corporate-driven agenda into the franchise, Cavill will walk away. This is exactly why this casting leak is so important. If Cavill stays attached to the project, it could be a sign that Disney is finally learning from its past mistakes and giving Star Wars back to the fans. But if he suddenly drops out, it will be proof that nothing has changed, and that Star Wars is doomed to repeat the same failures of the past. Right now, the decision lies with Disney. They have the chance to bring in a powerhouse actor who could help restore Star Wars to its former glory. Cavill is the kind of actor who could bring depth, power, and gravitas to the Star Wars universe in a way we haven't seen in years. The ball is in their court, but they need to get it right.
When I got my first big paycheck, and it'd been a few years, I've been working as an actor for a few years, and...
How much was it?
Don't ask me.
That's so Swedish.
200 or 300 pounds. So I went back to Jersey with my dad, and I thought I want to treat myself. You know, I haven't actually got myself anything, and we were discussing what to do with it. And he said, "How about a car?" I was still driving my Peugeot 206, the first car I ever had, and I was like, you know, it's time to upgrade. This thing struggles uphill at this stage. And went to the local fancy garage, and there was a number of nice cars there, and the R8, Audi R8 was one which really stood out to me. I thought, this is a great car. I was looking at it, and my dad was sort of pausing around this other car, and in the really nice section. And I was like, "What are you doing over there?" And he said, "I'm just looking at this car." And I was like, "Oh yes, wow, this is really nice. Yeah, one day, huh?" And he went, I said, "What do you mean?" He went, "Well, I mean, I'm sure we can make this work." And I was like, "It's an Aston Martin DBS. Like, you can't just make this work. You can't toy with my emotions like that. It either can or can't." And he's like, well, you know, I think it could be a thing, but, you know, think about it. Think about what car you want. They're two different cars." And I was like, "I'm not thinking about anything. It's an Aston Martin DBS." And so that was my second car.
What's it like when you're in your trailer and you're done and you look in the mirror and you're in that costume?
It's really cool.
Are you like, "I'm badass"?
Yeah, I mean, that definitely crosses your mind. I mean, and wearing the contacts was one thing. You had to wear them for 3 hours at a time, and then take them out.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I look really badass, but my eyes hurt a little bit.
She looks still human. Still human at this moment.
Still human, but it definitely helps you get into character.
Yeah.
When you're wearing all that get-up, it's just a short step to go on from there.
Grew up admiring, opting instead for a darker, more divisive version of the character that didn't align with his vision. Now, as Star Wars fans eagerly hope for his involvement, there's one massive hurdle: Disney's track record of pushing woke politics over good storytelling. Henry Cavill has always been a storyteller first, a true fan of the genres he's part of, and someone who understands the heart of science fiction and fantasy. He's proven time and time again that he won't compromise on the integrity of the stories he's part of. Star Wars could be a dream come true for him and the fans, but only if Disney gives him the freedom to be who he is, a passionate advocate for the lore and legacy of the universe, not a pawn in a political agenda. If Disney tries to control him or force him into the same kind of hollow, agenda-driven storytelling that has undermined so many beloved franchises, we already know what will happen. Cavill will walk away, just like he did with The Witcher and Superman. And if that happens, it could spell disaster for Star Wars, a franchise that's already teetering on the edge of losing the magic that made it legendary. Cavill has already demonstrated that he will not put his name on projects that betray their fanbase. He left The Witcher when Netflix's writers mocked and ignored the source material, transforming the beloved fantasy series into a corporate product filled with forced narratives and hollow agendas. He turned down Superman when Warner Brothers tried to reinvent the character into something far removed from the iconic, hopeful hero fans had adored. Now, Star Wars is at a crossroads. Cavill's rumored involvement is a glimmer of hope, but Disney must understand that if they want to keep him on board, they'll need to let him do what he does best: prioritize the story, respect the legacy of Star Wars, and honor the fans who have loved this universe for generations. If they try to push him into another politically driven, soulless version of Star Wars, they'll lose him, and possibly lose the chance to restore the franchise to its former glory.
True or false that you achieved 3% body fat for your role as Superman? Is that true or false?
I never took a body fat reading, but I don't think it was as low as 3%. That's super low.
So that's false.
That's false.
I couldn't even imagine what 3% would possibly
That's like bodybuilders.
Be.
That's like for one performance bodybuilders. You can't hold that. Maybe you can, but I probably could.
But is it true you consumed 5,000 calories a day for that role?
Yes.
Try and bulk
when
up.
I was building, 5,000 calories a day.
What in the hell were you eating at 5,000 calories a day?
A lot. I can't really remember. That was many, many years ago now. That was on Man of Steel, but a lot of it in the post-workout shake. You put coconut milk in there, and it makes everything. You can fit a day's worth of calories into one shake.
Oh, so you're not like rolling through the In-N-Out burger or anything like that?
No, unfortunately. I mean, there is a methodology which does that, but you're so fat afterwards that it kind of ruins everything.
All right, true or false that you're a huge fan of video games and almost missed being cast as Superman because you almost missed the phone call inviting you to do that because you were too busy playing a video game. Is that a true story?
Half true. Yes, I was playing World of Warcraft, and the phone rang. I didn't look at it because I was doing something more important, obviously. And then I looked down at the last second and saw it said Zack Snyder and went for the phone and missed the call. But at that stage, that was him calling me to let me know I had the role. So it wasn't like if I didn't answer the call, I don't get the role.
Okay, so there wasn't like a plan B. Oh, well, Henry went to voicemail.
Yes, he didn't want it.
Yeah, that's right. Go get us somebody else. You're fluent in French, conversational in Italian and German, and can order a beer in Czech. True or false?
I wish. I speak a little bit of French. I speak more Italian than French.
Okay.
But again, just a little bit. And a few words in German. And whichever country I go to, I try and learn how to order a beer.
Can you order a beer in Czech?
I can't remember how to do it now.
But you used to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would. Yeah, I can't remember right now. Not off the top of my head.
We'll get it ready for the next Bond film. And
every time Henry Cavill has stood by the integrity of the characters and stories he believes in, he's proven that he's not someone who will simply follow the crowd. He cares about authenticity, depth, and the legacy of the projects he's involved with. If Disney tries to pull the same stunt they've done with other franchises, forcing identity politics or shallow agenda-driven storytelling into their new Star Wars project, Cavill will not hesitate to walk away. He's done it before, and he'll do it again. Disney might think that their current strategy works, but fans have been begging for real, meaningful storytelling, not the corporate checklists disguised as films. Right now, Star Wars is in desperate need of a course correction. Fans don't want shallow, forced messages. They want the return of classic Star Wars values: heroism, redemption, adventure, and the deep mythological storytelling that made the franchise legendary. Cavill understands that because he is one of them. If Disney is smart, they will step aside and allow Cavill, along with the right creative team, to do what George Lucas originally intended, to tell an unforgettable story. If they do, this could be the turning point Star Wars needs. If Cavill is allowed to bring his passion for storytelling to this project, it could signal a massive shift in how Hollywood approaches big franchises. It could prove that audiences don't want movies filled with forced political messaging. They want movies that respect the worlds they love. This success could set a new standard, where fan-driven storytelling triumphs over corporate mandates. A successful Cavill-led Star Wars movie wouldn't just revive the franchise, it could bring back the essence of what made Star Wars great in the first place. This could lead to a new era of Star Wars films that focus on strong characters, timeless themes, and breathtaking adventures instead of simply trying to push Hollywood's latest social agenda. It could also inspire more actors like Cavill to stand up against corporate interference, proving that the fans are the ones who truly matter. Most importantly, it could force Disney to rethink its entire approach to Star Wars. If they see that a movie built on great storytelling succeeds while their past failures continue to be rejected by audiences, they might finally start listening. This could be the wake-up call they need to return to real, meaningful storytelling rather than using Star Wars as a tool for their own corporate messaging. But it all comes down to one question: will Disney actually let this happen? Cavill has the potential to save Star Wars, but only if Disney lets him. If they try to control him, if they push the same tired agenda-driven nonsense that has been ruining their movies for years, we all know what will happen. Cavill will walk away. So, the choice is Disney's. Do they want to finally give fans what they've been asking for? Or will they once again drive away the one person who could restore this franchise? What do you think? Would you want to see Henry Cavill in Star Wars? Do you believe Disney will actually let him do it right? Or will they push him away like they've done before? Let me know in the comments. And if you're as excited about this as I am, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on Cavill's potential role and the fight to save Star Wars.